exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Frank, Hays, and JJ. Hit it. It's time for the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, we welcome you in. The new drug today is win. Another win for the Gator basketball team that I got to tell you, I got a lot of thoughts about that, but it was a game I was never worried before the game. I got a little nervous about first half, early second half. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little. I was a little nervous, but at the end of the day, and it's going to be a lot of the show today, not just what happened last night, but what they've built down there. That was a comfortable win. I think I said, you asked me, you're a big score guy. You asked me to score. I said 83-71. It was 87-71, so it was about the same game you thought too. Gators move on. They beat Maryland. Crazy night in the late game. Did you watch the late game?
Absolutely.
Crazy game. Texas Tech, Arkansas, crazy finish in that game. We'll get to that coming up in a bit. A lot of things to get to. Pete Prisco stops by to talk NFL today. We'll talk about other things going on in the world of sports. We'll say hello to R.J. Saunders, who has the show today. RJ, how you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. Are you kidding me? How we doing? We're a game away from San Antonio, brah.
Walking on air.
Yeah, we are doing great. But Gators win it. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more coming up. I got so many thoughts about this team and what they are and what they've become. But last night, let's start with that. You lose your second best player for just about all the first half and good part of the second half. He turned the ball over 78 times in the first half. And it was casual. Yet at no point were you in any danger. I mean, after a miserable first half, 16 of those minutes without Condon, 12 or 13 turnovers in the first half?
13.
13 in the first half, and you were ahead. And in the second half, the depth and the size and all that.
And you had triple the fouls Maryland had.
Yeah, that's right. And so, but all that, and kind of an easy win. Not only an easy win, but an easy win that everybody expected would happen. It's crazy what they've become.
It really is, because it's so unusual when a game on paper, in terms of the data and the matchups, translates to exactly how it ended up playing out. Usually there's some variety, or sometimes you just get completely shocked by the result. But it lined up exactly how the numbers told you it would, that Maryland didn't have the depth. Florida would have a huge advantage in terms of bench scoring. Again, Maryland entered that game 345th in the country in bench scoring, 12.3 points per game. And it was an even worse result for the Terrapins than what they're accustomed to. They got outscored 29-3 off the bench. And it was a game in which Florida led by 18 with 7 minutes to play. I mean, in terms of a scale of 1 to 10 on intensity, mental exhaustion exerted to get the win, it was a 1.5. I mean, it was a very comfortable win, which should serve them very well against a Texas Tech team that went through the ultimate 10 out of a 10 game.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, they have 6 players in double figures. That's absurd. I mean, it's just absurd to have 6 players score in double figures. Walter Clayton could be quiet. He scored 13, and most of that was in the first half. But he was afforded that luxury because Denzel Aberdeen went and got 12, and Chinlu had 10 and actually was making free throws. And then you got your customary 15 from Richard, 14 from Martin. Houck was phenomenal stepping in for Condon, to your point. With that albatross early on, Thomas Houck really stepped up his game. And so what they did to Maryland on the glass was something you just don't see in the Sweet 16. You barely see it in a 1 versus a 16 matchup. But to out-rebound a team like Maryland, who'd won 27 games and was probably the second best team in the Big Ten this year, and you out-rebound them 42-20.
And that didn't even it was the bigger gap earlier. It wound up 22.
I mean, it was Tyson versus Spinks on the glass. Yeah. I mean, it was as one-sided as you'll ever see.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that Gator win, about the Florida basketball team as they get set. They're one game now. They're in the Elite Eight. This is the 10th Elite Eight in their history, which is pretty amazing. By the way, it was 10-2. They lost 2 games at Sweet 16s, but it's pretty amazing stuff. But I'm going to leave the show with that coming up in just about 5-6 minutes after the first time. We'll certainly get to that coming up on the program today. All right, other things, we'll talk about some of the other games. Good ones tonight, by the way. Who wins Kentucky, Tennessee?
Kentucky.
See, that one's a hard call. And I saw our mutual friend Zach Ricketts today.
Oh, yeah.
In Kentucky garb. He's ready. Now, Zach told me, Zach, the best electrician in town, by the way, and he was doing some work for us at our ballpark. And then he told me he was on his way. He had an afternoon job. He just got a job. And he said he's always on call, always ready. I said, bro, you could do that job quick. Okay, you got a ball game to watch. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't ever put work ahead of the Wildcats.
Right.
Our friend Zach is a big Kentucky fan.
Well, and think of the intensity tonight in that game. I mean, it's one thing to be in the Sweet 16. It's another thing when you're staring down one of your biggest rivals.
Yeah, and Zach made a good point. Everyone says it's hard to beat someone 3 times. But if you really think about it, and I don't know, I've gone back and forth on who's going to win that game.
I think that's more of a football thing than a basketball thing.
Not only that, but usually the team that's 1-2 does beat them again. You know, you say that, but for basketball for sure. If you're good enough to beat them twice, you're good enough to beat them 3 times.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a big one tonight. Auburn tonight as well. We'll certainly talk about. It's a really good lineup of games tonight. And I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to Ole Miss.
They could absolutely knock Izzo and Sparty right out of this tournament.
If Arkansas hadn't blown it last night, and that was a bad loss because they had a 16-point lead. They had a 13-point lead with 4 to play.
They had a 6-point lead with 90 seconds left.
Right. And
it was just a total collapse. It was the second biggest comeback in Sweet 16 history for Texas Tech.
Correct. So if Arkansas doesn't blow that, and they shouldn't have, we're sitting here today with 12 teams standing, 7 from the SEC. Do you realize that?
It's remarkable.
Where we would be if Arkansas didn't blow it at the end last night, we would have 12 teams standing as we sit here and do this program. And 7 of the 12 from the SEC.
As it stands now, they're guaranteed for 3 of the Elite 8 because obviously Tennessee, Kentucky winner.
Right.
And then you might get Ole Miss. Yeah. You should get Auburn.
Right.
And so, to think that you're definitely getting 3 and you might have 5 of the Elite 8.
Yeah.
With a meltdown, preventing another team in Arkansas. It's remarkable.
Yeah. My guess is, as expected, my prediction is that Auburn and Florida will not waltz into the Final Four, and we'll get to the Texas Tech matchup in a minute. But I think Auburn and Florida are in the Final Four. That's 2 of the 4. And it would not shock me if the Tennessee Kentucky winner beat Houston. And I'll tell you, and Duke's really good. I've been able to watch Duke a little bit. They're really good. But it would not shock me if Alabama beat Duke.
Alabama's going to beat Duke.
I mean, it would not. I picked in my bracket. I got them beating Duke.
I just don't think Duke has seen what.
Yeah.
Alabama, maybe they like Florida. I think is probably the closest thing to Duke that Alabama has seen, and they are 0-2 against Florida with one of those losses coming on senior night in Tuscaloosa. But they've at least seen kind of what Duke looks like, how Duke is going to attack them, and I can guarantee you this. Duke has not seen anybody that plays like Alabama plays.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody. No one in the ACC remotely is on Alabama's level.
I agree with that. And so we'll want to see what one does. So we'll certainly talk about that coming up today on the program as well. Our friend Pete Prisco joins us. We'll certainly talk about going-ons in the NFL. The NFL, this is quiet time. It's pro day season. We're now in the pro day season. Combine's behind us. Draft is still a few weeks away. It's the pro day season. It seems like a quiet pro day season, doesn't it? Maybe it's because
very much so.
It's weird how it just doesn't seem. There's not a lot of got to watch that pro day. I mean, It's not like FSU last year where there were so many of them in Florida, and some good years where there's so many, and there's only 2 quarterbacks really. I mean, Jackson Dart. Did Jackson Dart have it? Was it today or Jackson?
It was either today or yesterday.
Yeah. So, but the point is, why is that? Why is it such a quiet pro day season?
I think because the stars are doing fewer testing, so I think it starts there. Like the draft prospects that would get people excited to talk about, they're not really performing. So you don't have workouts to really talk about. I also think, let's just look at like the quarterbacks. You have to really mess up for your pro day not to be a 10 out of 10. I mean, really, other than Teddy Bridgewater, I can't even really think of a quarterback in recent years that had a, quote, bad pro day. So I think part of it is it's a little bit of white noise because they just always tend to go well. And so we get, we like the 40 times, and a lot of these stars aren't running them. Like Ashton Genty didn't, things like that. The other thing, too, is it's interesting, it doesn't appear like the Jaguars are doing prospect visits, which is bizarre. And they're not alone in that. I guess the Rams don't do it. And since everything now has to be exactly what the LA Rams do, because the entire offseason has been a love letter to Sean McVay, I guess we're not bringing prospects in anymore, that's not valuable to bring. You can bring up to 30. And you don't necessarily, obviously, you don't have to bring in all, 30 guys, but to not do any, that seems awfully presumptuous to be like, well, we've got a handle on the personalities of all these prospects. So I found that really puzzling. It just seems like there are some teams that almost seem like they're de-emphasizing the process, and that may not be a bad thing. They should make the picks more on the game film than the draft process, but it almost feels like it's coming from the team level more than it's coming from anywhere else.
So we'll talk some NFL coming up. Major League Baseball started yesterday, by the way. The Atlanta Braves are 0-1. I still think they can bounce back and get to the World Series. I still think it's now a bounce back year for the Braves. I still think they can bounce back and get it. My team got walked off because we stink. The Phillies got off to a good start. They won. The Cardinals, the only team in the division, the Central Division, that won the game. Interesting stuff, but we'll continue to follow that. Baseball is off and running. So a lot of fun things to talk about today on the program. We'll talk a little bit about the college basketball, the NCAA basketball tournament, the Sweet 16. The Gators certainly played very well in that. They continue to move along. Pete Prisco stops by at 5 o'clock to talk NFL, all coming up today on a Friday. Our Fridays are always brought to you by our friends at Big Chief Tire Company. I'm telling you, with 5 locations here on the First Coast. The newest one is in Orange Park. We've been out there doing a show. The west side, there's 2 there, one on the north side and Phillips Highway over here on the south side. I'm telling you, if you want a terrific place to take care of your car, that's tires, all kind of automotive service, oil changes, brakes, alignments. You can trust the folks at Big Chief Tire. Over 60 years they've been doing it, and I promise you they're getting it right. Let's talk Gator basketball after this. Stay with us.
Your work is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Mike Dempsey on Jaguars Today, every weekday from 10 to noon.
That's the best you can do!
On 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Here's Linda Beaver.
It's a new year with new goals, but let's face it, not all resolutions are easy to keep. Maybe you promised yourself you'd eat healthier, but pizza still seems like a better idea. Or you said you'd read more, but your favorite show just launched a new season. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we can help you keep your New Year's resolution. We offer the biggest selection, best prices, and the easiest car buying experience. Let's make a resolution to visit Beaver Toyota or Beaver Chevrolet, where we'll wow you with a new ride for the new year.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harold and Harold studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Hays Carlyon from my friend Holt at Harold & Harold. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harold & Harold make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold & Harold and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Pizza to Tea here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
Hunters Know Patience is part of the game.
Just got to keep hunting.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Waltz on the Nimnicht Outdoors Show. Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Join UF Health Jacksonville for their inaugural golf classic on Friday, April 25th at Amelia River Club. Sponsorships and foursomes are available. Visit ufhealthjacks.org/golf for details. See you on the course.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A.
E.T. here, and spring in Clay County means one thing: the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 15% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now back to a Big Chief Tire Friday on the Frangie Show. Big Chief Tire. Visit BigChiefService.com.
Frank Frangie, Hays Carlyon, RJ Saunders with you. JJ LaSelva has the day off. Watching Gator baseball here, the first of 2 against Ole Miss. Gators are 0-7 in the SEC. How is that even
Is that
possible?
bad?
Man, oh man. Liam Peterson is pitching today. He's their Friday night ace that they shut down for a while, but at least he's able to pitch today, it looks like. But look, I just walked out at the top of the first. Gators don't get any. I walked down the hall to talk to Mia for a second. I came back here, and they're down 1-0. Look, I only left you with 1/2 inning. You couldn't have got out of the 1 inning.
I've told you, I don't pay attention to this team unless they're in Omaha in the final series.
That's very honest.
So yeah, I have no idea what happened, but I know the injuries have been, the biggest factor in this bad start. Do you also think that they got lulled into a little bit of a sense of security and that they rallied last year late and were able to then get to Omaha. Like maybe that wasn't the offseason wake-up call it should have been.
Yeah.
Because, they obviously aren't playing. It's hard for me to believe the University of Florida, because of injuries alone, are 0-7.
Yeah, I think part of it with their baseball team is baseball team nowadays, it's a different team every year. You change out most of your good players every year. I just don't think Sully's been able to find pitching. I think more, in addition to the pitchers getting hurt, because they're scoring runs. Again, they went ahead of FSU 4-3 they went ahead of FSU 4-3 late in the game and lost and couldn't protect the lead. They were up on Georgia 7-6, I think, in the ninth inning and couldn't protect the lead. So I think it's been pitching. So, but anyway, they're down. I just saw it. They got one of the guys, the Ole Miss guys, had a home run in the first inning. So we'll talk about it. Let's get to Gator basketball for a second. First of all, I want to start with the game. They played sloppy in the first half. You knew they had the better team. They came back and kind of just had too much for them. One of my Maryland buddies just texted me last night, one of my neighbors, and he's going on. He said, I've never seen a team shoot like this. They make every shot. Are they always like this? Well, they shot 52%, so obviously they had a good shooting night. I said, but Maryland hadn't seen a team like this. The Big Ten doesn't. I'm sorry, but the Big Ten doesn't have a team like this. I just don't think they. Michigan State and Michigan and Wisconsin, they don't have a team like this. So if you haven't seen them, it's hard to see. So here's what I thought about for today's show. In addition to last night's win, you and I were talking about earlier and talking to Graham Kim a minute ago as well about it. I thought this really hit me today. It is really amazing what he has built in 3 years. It's not like this is some Cinderella story that they caught fire, that they caught, you know what I mean? That they caught lightning in a bottle, and that's not what this is. Those are Cinderella stories, and the pumpkin eventually turn back into the pumpkin at midnight. He's built Duke. He's built Kansas, Kentucky. He's built North Carolina in 3 years. I mean, it's not just that they're winning, Hays. It's they're going into every game favored. They look like Goliath. That's the amazing thing. Not that they're winning a bunch of games. Teams get hot. Teams get hot and go on magical runs. The 94 team went on a magical run, weren't able to sustain it. Other teams all over. I mean, every year, NC State last year went on a magical run, and this year the coaches got fired. They went to the Final Four. Teams go on magical runs, and you can get there pretty quick. But you can't build Goliath in 3 years. I mean, they're 33-4. He's built Alabama and Clemson football in 3 years. At least that's what this looks like. And it's 1 year. I get that. And here's the other thing. Here's how he did it. No McDonald's All-Americans. None of these guys ever been in a McDonald's game. None of these guys were 5 stars. He did it with a guy from Belmont, a guy from Iona, a guy from Florida Atlantic, a guy from Marshall, a guy at Washington State that was playing 5 minutes a game, some dude from Australia that was an Australian rules football player that nobody knew about, some recruit in Pennsylvania that rooted for Tim Tebow as a kid that nobody wanted, the second best player on that Dr. Phillips team, the Riley Kugel, and he's got Goliath. It's amazing what they have. And look, they could lose tomorrow. You can always lose. I don't think they're going to. But how has that happened? I'm going to ask Todd. When we go down there for the spring game, if we're down there like we are sometimes, I'm going to ask him, how did this happen? Yeah, I mean, it's really, really astounding stuff. How did this happen? It's you just haven't seen this I guess my point is, to build Goliath in 3 years, you just don't see it very often. I mean, Billy Donovan built it by 2000, which was what, his 5th year? 6, 7, 8? Yeah, by his 5th year. But I know how he did it. Mike Miller was a top 5 recruit. Donnell Harvey was a top 5 recruit. Teddy Dupay is the guy Mr. Basketball to State of Florida everybody wanted. I know how Billy Donovan did it. He went and got the guys everybody wanted. Now, the 04s weren't that, but the 2000 team, when he built it, it's what he got. That's not what this guy has built. If you look at how it happened, it's pretty amazing what he has done and how he has done it. They can, they're bigger than the other big teams. They're faster than the fast teams. They're tougher than the tough teams. They're more physical than the physical teams. And he's done it in 3 years. Honest to God, they're 33-4. Playing in the SEC, they're 33-4. It's really amazing. I don't know how deep they'll go this year. I don't know if it'll last beyond this year. Who knows? There's a lot of unknowns, particularly in this day and age where your team changes all the time. But it's one of the most amazing things I've seen. It truly, truly is.
I think it's two prongs here. I think the first is I think he's the basketball version of Steve Spurrier. Now, Todd Golden is not an alum, so that's where the comparison stops. But in terms of how he schemes, how he develops, the edge Todd Golden has, I don't want to just beat you. We're here to humiliate you. Which and you listen to Todd Golden in his press conferences, he's incredibly open and honest. He hasn't gotten to the point that he takes like shots at people, and hopefully he'll start doing that because it was glorious when Spurrier did it. But there is a confidence to Todd Golden that I think is reminiscent of the confidence that Spurrier had when he got to Florida. And so I think it starts there. I think you've got a special coach in terms of his mentality, his ability to identify talent and to develop that talent. And Spurrier had a great idea of what he wanted his offense to look like. And it wasn't cookie cutter. It wasn't like, well, just give me the best players and I'll have the best offense. He needed guys that fit what he wanted to do, and he was able to get that. It wasn't necessarily always a parade All-American. I mean, Danny Warfel was a nice recruit, but he wasn't like, and back then I don't even think they had the star system, but he wasn't a five-star prospect. He was a good, solid prospect, but he fit, and it went down the line. And so I think you're seeing that with Todd Golden. The second point to this, why I think it's been able to happen, I think the Florida basketball program is much better than even maybe their own fan base realizes, and certainly much better than nationally how they are recognized. Because think about this. The last 4 Florida head coaches have all made the Elite Eight or beyond it. And if Golden makes, because Mike White made the Elite Eight.
No question.
And so Lon Kruger, a Final Four.
Yep.
Billy Donovan, 2 titles. Mike White, Elite Eight. Todd Golden, Elite Eight. If Todd Golden wins Saturday, and I agree with you, I think they're going to win Saturday by double digits, then you will have had 3 of your last 4 head coaches have reached the Final Four. Well, that's got to say something about your program.
And I will say this, if you're right and you're making good points, I'm guilty of not recognizing that. Hang that on me. I'll own that. I've always said, and I've always believed that there's no difference, in my opinion, between the Florida program, the LSU, the Alabama, the Auburn, the Texas, the Oklahoma. There's no difference between. There's about 20 programs, Michigan, Ohio State. There's no difference in those programs until they get a good coach. There's nothing special about Tennessee basketball until they got Rick Barnes. There's nothing special about Auburn basketball until they got Bruce Pearl. There's obviously nothing special about Alabama basketball until they got Nate Oates. Now you get the right guy, and all of a sudden you start winning. So I've said it's not at all about the program; it's always about the coach. But your point's good. Those other schools don't have the litany of successful coaches you just ran through, which is a really good point. At some point, I hear you. At some point, hey Frank, dumbass, maybe the program is pretty good. Maybe the program does inherently attract, which is kind of what you're saying. It's a very good point. I can't deny that. Those are very good points.
I don't have any data. It'd be fun to maybe go and research it. But, I mean, how many Division I schools can say that they can go back, their coaching, they can trace their coaching back 30 years, and over the last 30 years, they have had a coach at all times that has gotten them to at least the Elite Eight.
That's a great point. And in fairness to Mike White, who everybody wants to hate Mike White, he was a bad call away from being in the Final Four.
Right.
I mean, he really was. South Carolina beat them on what I think was a bad call.
Right.
A bad no call. And so it's a really good point. But I'll say this too. I think in this day, and you're right about developing and coaching, but I think basketball coaching, all coaching too, but particularly basketball coaching, I think basketball coaching, Hays, now is so good. I think these guys are really good coaches. I think pretty much everybody, not everybody, but they know now when to speed it up, when to slow it down, when to press, when not to press, when to sub, when to call timeout. Not every coach. They're not all clones. But I think by and large, today's basketball coach knows how to do that stuff. The key is getting the guys and developing the guys. But the key, I love what Todd Golden said. One of the rounds, whether it was the SEC tournament when they were winning it, it was one of these rounds, they always interview the coach after the win. And someone said one of the reporters, one of the sideline reporters said, how do you get these players to shoot like that or to play like how do you get players that shoot so well? Or how do you get players that rebound, something like that? And what are you doing to get them to do that? And he had this big grin on his face. He goes, I'll tell you what we do. He said, we got them to come here. Remember he said that?
Yeah.
He goes, we got them to come here. He said, they were already good players. Our key was getting them to come here, which is he's being humble. There's more to it than that. But I love the answer. But, I mean, it's just – and you're right. You're very good point about the program. And, again, I'll stand down on that. I'm the one that said they're all the same, just get a good coach. But Florida has proven beyond that they're more than that. So it's a great point. But I will tell you, because as we move forward, I watched Texas Tech. They came from 16 points down to beat Arkansas. Arkansas, and I'm going to get into this next segment, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but Arkansas made some huge mistakes there. But now they got to go play Florida. The Coppin guy's a good player. He's player of the year in the league. He's 6'9", about 230. The other guy that made all the shots last night, the three-pointer to get it overtime and then the layup, he's their second tallest starter. He's 6'6", and then they play three guards. You're going up against those gigantic guys Saturday night, Chinyelu and Condon and Hauk and Micah, who are all, I mean, essentially it's two 7-footers and a 6'11". You're going up against that, and they're just not a very big team. They have Federico, who's one of their backups, who's 6'11", but doesn't play very much. They really play
and very limited.
Yeah,
he's great on the glass, but very limited in what he offers offensively.
That's right. So all of a sudden tomorrow, I mean, I don't. Again, I told you yesterday I was very confident Florida would win that game by double digits last night. I was never. I mean, I had 2 or 3 bets with my. I got a couple of Maryland buddies. I had 2 or 3 bets with my Maryland buddies. I confidently gave 6.5. I couldn't race that bet on the table fast enough for fun little dinner bets and whatnot. Well, I feel the same way about this game. I can't imagine that Texas Tech with and they have a good team. But this is a team that lost to UCF. It's a team that lost to TCU. And again, you could say, well, Florida lost to Georgia. I get it. But Georgia was
a quad 1 loss.
And they're in the tournament.
Texas Tech's lost 3 quad 2 games.
Yeah. So as I watched them last night, now they got quick little guards. And most teams with quick guards beat you with their quick guards, except Florida's guards are as quick as yours. Most teams with big guys beat you, except Florida's big guys are as big as yours. But I can't imagine – and that guy last night, Derek Queen, was good, boy. He's a great player. I can see why the NBA's in love with that guy.
Absolutely.
He will be a very good NBA player. I can see he'll be a 3rd or 4th pick overall.
Yeah.
And but I can't imagine going up against all those Florida big guys. I can't imagine. And look, again, I said this yesterday. It may sound like I said yesterday on the program, I can't imagine that Maryland can play them within double digits. I said I may look like an idiot, but that is what I think. Well, I think the same thing tomorrow night. I can't imagine Texas Tech playing them within a 10-point game. Can you?
I can't because Texas Tech doesn't defend. They're good offensively. They're not Florida. They're not elite, but Texas Tech is very good Texas Tech is elite really offensively. They're just not what Florida is, which is the second best offensive team in the country if you look at the metrics. So they're great offensively. It's the defensive side of the ball that's going to tell the tale in this matchup, because you look at Florida, and we haven't really touched on this a lot, Florida's defense, but this is, I mean, it's stunning. Florida's 15th in the country in field goal percentage defense at 39.9%. So, I mean, defensively, Florida is outstanding. Texas Tech is really just okay. They allow 42.5% from the floor. That's 96th in the country. So you're talking about 2 great offenses, but Florida is a touch better. And you're talking about a very good defense against a pretty, I'd say, mediocre one for the Elite 8, particularly being this far in. And so, yeah, I just don't think Texas Tech's going to be able to get the stops because Florida's just got so many ways. Florida has 6 players today in San Francisco going through the walkthrough at that arena again that know I scored at least 10 points here last night.
Right.
That confidence will radiate throughout that entire bench. And, and again, Clayton only had 13. Well, it's a good bet. He's probably going to have 23 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, to see, with Aberdeen and Hauk and Chinyelu and Martin and Richard having so much success scoring last night, chances are that's going to translate over. They don't need all that to translate over, But, if 4 of those guys do and Condon's able to play, the biggest X factor in this game is, like, if Florida doesn't have Alex Condon and Texas Tech gets back Chance McMillan, then that would be a big difference
They're
maker.
going to have Condon.
But I think they'll have Condon, and I don't think Texas Tech will have McMillan. A senior guard averages 14.2 points a game, but he was injured March 13th against Baylor in the conference tournament, and they haven't had him since with an oblique injury. So my guess is if you couldn't play last night, what are the odds that you're going to now be able to play tomorrow?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a chance, but even if McMillan plays, he hasn't played in 2 weeks, so you worry about the rust and being sloppy with the ball, and because Florida is fantastic. They're second in the nation in fast break points. So if you give Florida the chance, they're going to burn you with that run game.
Yeah, so I agree with all that. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, you're playing a Texas Tech team that has yet to beat a single-digit seed. You realize that?
That's a great point.
They have not beat a single-digit seed. The 10th seeded Arkansas Razorbacks were the best seeded team they've beaten. So again, watching the game last night, if that's not a 12 to 15 point win tomorrow night, I'll be surprised. And again, I'm not being, you know me, I'm not a cocky fan guy. I'm just telling you, watching the 2 games last night, it'd be quite the surprise. Let's take a break. I want to get back to enough of the Gators for now. NFL coming at the top of the hour. I want to talk about that Arkansas-Texas Tech game last night and some of the other games coming up tonight. More to talk about in a moment. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Put some paint on your quarter panel.
All the way up against the wall. They're still 3 feet.
This Sunday at Martinsville.
They both spin out.
NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on 1010XL.
One thing that separates Beard's Diamonds from those other jewelry stores at the town center, no one's paid on commission.
Nobody at Beard's is on commission. That's more of your corporate stores that pay commission.
Beard's owner, John Lupo, says that means no pressure, no hidden agenda, no extra markups.
And you're getting a better deal. You're not paying the corporate commission. You're not paying the salesperson's commission. If they're paying your salespeople commission, you're starting off in the hole.
And that's why you feel like a number at most jewelry stores, because it's all about making the sale, but not at Beard's.
Because it's a corporate atmosphere and they want to sell you what they want to sell you. We're here to sell you what you want. Our salespeople can do whatever they want to make sure that the customer is happy.
So relax. At Beard's Diamonds, they have all the things you want, like quality education, selection, warranties, and none of the stuff you don't want, like pressure and tacked on commissions.
Nobody's making an extra 5 or 10% on Beard's customers.
Beard's Diamonds, the town center's only locally owned jeweler.
We sell better merchandise, better product for less money, guaranteed.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Warm weather means the beach, fishing, golf, and more. Make sure to drop into Daly's and grab a cold case to go. From Bud Light to their seltzer, from Mick Ultra to Modelo, or your favorite crafts like Old City or Sweetwater. Grab and go at your local Daly's.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, the wings are fresh, the drinks are cold, and the game is always on. With 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, and handcrafted cocktails, there's no better place to kick back and catch every play. Escape the ordinary. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. Now's the perfect time to order logo coffee mugs, or maybe a logoed Sick brand tumbler. They're seriously ice cold and look great with your company logo. HardballCreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Draft season is here, and so is Mia's Mock Draft Mondays. And this year, we're powered by One Night Taco Stand. Each week, I'll unveil a new set of possible targets for the big cats on the 1010XL social channels and 1010XL.com. Let's talk about it on 1010XL.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make, and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is, and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Hello, sports fans. Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I Am Beach's Dermatology are reminding you to wear your sunscreen. If you're an active parent hanging at the fields, in your boat to fish, or like to chill at the sandbar, wear sunscreen. But if you're the one that decided for years it's not cool, guess what? Cancer isn't cool either. So when grabbing the clubs for your tea time, gassing up the boat, or grabbing the chairs for your kids' games, make sure you bring the screen. Any concerns now? Give Beaches Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase now through March.
With so many competitive pest services in town, you might wonder why Kingfish Pest Control's business is booming while similar companies seem to be struggling. It all comes down to service, affordability, and effectiveness. Kingfish Pest Control is a local family-owned company who delivers on their promises to effectively control pests like ants, spiders, roaches, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Your home is their priority, so call today and discover why your neighbors and your buddy Hays Carlyon trust Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now back to a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. Big Chief Tire. Visit BigChiefService.com.
RJ still remembers what I like. You ever know that? He's the best.
It is so funny.
RJ, you're the best. I love this song. I love Philip Bailey. I want to meet Philip Bailey and just hear him sing. Wouldn't it be great if Philip Bailey just walked in here and just started, maybe he and Philip Collins together.
Boy.
But I mean, can you imagine just walked in
What
and
a
started
show.
singing? I mean, right here. Just walk in and start singing.
Yeah.
All right. So I will say this.
Maybe you'll get your wish.
I will say this. The Philip Bailey, who's RJ, what do you figure? 72, 73 years old, something like that?
We're on there.
When you somewhere, right? How old is Philip Bailey?
I would think maybe even older.
75?
Yeah, because most of those guys, like, it seems like with the birthdays recently,
Yeah.
it's been like late 70s.
Yeah, you're right. So I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire in the arena 3 years ago. So let's say he's 75 now. He would have been 72. He's 73.
Oh, well done.
He's 73, okay? He could still hit this note. He could still hit. This is the song, Reasons, where you got to go way up there. He could. I'm telling you, I'm not making it. He could still hit this. He could still hit this note. So love it. Frank Frangie, Hays Carlyon, RJ Saunders in here as we continue along here on this Friday installment of the program. Always brought to you by our friends at Big Chief Tire Company. We sure appreciate our friends from Big Chief. 5 locations in town, Big Chief Tire Company. The Gators, by the way, took a 3-1 lead, maybe 4-1 lead now over Ole Miss. They're 0-7 in the league. We're watching the game in here, so that's certainly good news for the Gator baseball team. All right, Arkansas, Texas Tech. Arkansas is leading the game most of the game. They're up 16 in the second half. They're up, was it 13 with 4 minutes to play?
Yeah, it was 61-45, just over 10 minutes left. And then, yes, the 4-minute mark, right about that. And then a 6-point lead with 90 seconds left.
All right, 6 point with 90 seconds left. Wow, was it that? And I'm watching.
Yeah, Arkansas buried a corner 3 to go up 6.
That's right.
With a minute and a half.
Exactly. So we're watching the game. And anyway, the Texas Tech hits a 3. It's now a 3-point game. They foul. They fouled Jonas Adu, the former Tennessee player, who's now the 6'11 center, right?
Great player.
Really good player. He's got a 1-and-1 with about 12 seconds left. Missed the first one. I mean, rattled in and out, popped in and out. You make the free throw, you win the game. So it's just, and again, I was torn. I always root for the SEC teams, but I don't think I wanted to play them.
I'd
rather play Texas Tech.
I was pulling for Texas
They're
Tech.
longer and deeper, and so the ball pops out.
I went into the game thinking I was going to pull for Arkansas.
Right.
But once I started watching it, I wanted Texas Tech because I just think I think Arkansas would have been a tougher athletic matchup.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm watching. And he misses the free throws. Oh, man. So now Texas Tech gets it. They run it up court with roughly 12, 11 seconds. You're right on that fine line of do you foul, do you not foul? 5 seconds left, under 7 you foul. I would have fouled. Would you have fouled?
Yes.
I would have fouled with 11 because he made the shot with 9.7, which means it left his hand with 10 and a half seconds left, right? I would have fouled. He's not a very good, by the way, the guy that made the shot, Williams, he's Darian Williams, he hadn't shot very well. He was 1 out of 9 from 3-point range. They covered the good shooters. So this 6'6" kind of burly, big power forward, somewhat shortish power forward, throws it up. It rattles around about 6 times and then dropped, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then once he made that, you knew they were going to win the game. You knew they were going to win it overtime. I didn't think Arkansas was going to score when they came back down, and I figured overtime. And then, by the way, he made the same shot. So I'm thinking Calipari, who great program builder, great recruiter, great spokesperson for basketball, whether you like him or hate him or whatever, never been a great tactician, right? Isn't that kind of the book on him?
It's absolutely the book.
And they let it get away. And John L. Davis, by the way, the other FAU transfer, went for 30 points last night, but made some bad plays down the stretch.
Yeah, really struggled in the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, it really did. So crazy game that Texas Tech found a way to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Texas Tech was magnificent on the glass. They out-rebounded Arkansas 51-39, which I was surprised by because I thought Arkansas's bigs were more impressive for the majority of it. But Texas Tech, particularly in those final 10 minutes, I mean, they had one possession where Federico got like at least 4 offensive rebounds on the same possession.
Right.
So, but Texas Tech had 3 players with at least 20 points. So, 3 guys played out of their mind and it was enough. And, now we'll see how much in the tank do they have left. I think you brought up a great point about their road. They beat a 14 seed UNC Wilmington by 10. They beat the 11 seed Drake by 13. And then they needed basically a minor miracle to come back and beat an Arkansas team that in the SEC was a total non-factor. Arkansas was playing on Wednesday of the SEC tournament. They had an under 500 record in league play. Now I think that they've gelled and they deserve credit for that. But Texas Tech looks pretty vulnerable to me, particularly if McMillan is not able to play. And the other thing that I think really helps Florida in this matchup is, Golden is doing this for the first time, and we talked about it at the outset of the tournament. What were things that concerned us? And one of the intangibles was, well, other than Elijah Martin, none of the coaches or players have ever made a deep run in this thing. And so you were worried about that, and it definitely affected them against UConn, the ultimate battle-tested 2-time defending national champion. Well, I think it really helps that you're getting Grant McCaslin on the other side, the Texas Tech coach, he's never made it this far either. So I think that helps. So from, a lot of times you worry about, will your team get afraid of success late? Will they panic? Will they press? And will it affect their play? Well, that could happen to either squad. I don't think it's going to happen to Florida, and it probably isn't going to happen with Texas Tech. But at least you don't have to worry about Florida looking like even John Calipari, who Golden has beaten. I mean, he beat Calipari at Rupp last year. He beat Calipari on his home floor this year. It's still John Calipari. Calipari could have still gone to his guys and said, look, believe we're going to do this. Right. They've never done this. Right. Their coach has never done this. I've taken, I think, 3 teams to the Final Four. I think he was trying to take his 4th team to a Final Four. That does mean something. So on Texas Tech's sideline, there's no advantage there from a coach experience standpoint, in terms of deep NCAA tournament runs. So, honestly, it's almost like the Maryland game. I'm a little leery of how good I feel about the matchup for Florida. So we'll see. But yeah, Texas Tech showed a lot of heart. But again, you have to wonder, what are they doing today? Are they back locked in, or are they still celebrating the greatest comeback in school history? Because if they're not locked in on Florida, they're going to get embarrassed.
This from Nick De La Torre. Great stat. You probably saw it. The largest comeback in Sweet 16 history was Ohio State coming back from down 20 against Tennessee in 07. Their season ended with a loss to Florida. The second largest comeback in Sweet 16 history was UCLA coming back from down 17 against Gonzaga in 06.
Oh, wow.
Their season ended against Florida.
How about that?
The third largest comeback in Sweet 16 history was Texas Tech coming back from down 16 last night against Arkansas. Just saying.
Something.
Just saying.
It's written in the stars.
What a great stat, isn't it?
That is a great stat.
Great job. Nick De La Torre, again, thank you, Nick, from Florida Victorious, providing that on Twitter. So it is a great stat. And so it does, again, we'll see. And we'll talk more about it later on in the program, I suppose. But I find myself would be very surprised if the way the matchups go, if Florida doesn't handle Texas Tech. I do. What's the line?
Florida is a 6.5 point favorite.
Yeah, like last night. Same line.
Yeah, and I would expect that might rise by the time.
Same as last
They're
night.
probably waiting to know about Condon.
Yeah.
Golden and McCaslin will meet with reporters today in San Francisco. So, we'll get some idea of a Condon update. I would assume we'll get some Chance McMillan update on Texas Tech side. So maybe that's why. But if anything, I think that line is going to go up.
Yeah.
I would be very comfortable giving Texas Tech those points. I mean, again, Florida has won 9 straight games against a gauntlet other than Norfolk State.
Right.
And to their credit, they won the MEAC. They made the tournament. They've won 9 in a row. They're 15-1 in their last 16 games, playing in a conference that no one has ever seen before in terms of its strength. So, I mean, it is going to take. I think I'm at the point where, other than Duke, I'm not sure there's a team left in the field that I think can beat Florida. Can Auburn beat Florida? Of course they could, but I don't think they would.
Right.
I don't think Houston can. I don't think Tennessee could. I don't think Alabama can. Duke is probably the only team left in the field that's one that I think would be a coin flip kind of game.
And here's what Duke has over everybody else in the tournament. Have you seen the roster size?
Oh, yeah. They're gargantuan.
They're gigantic. Duke has, I don't think Duke plays a player under 6'5".
Yeah.
They don't start a player under 6'6". Duke is 7'1", 6'9", 6'7", 6'6", 6'6".
And skilled.
And very skilled. But they're all big guys. I mean, even their guards are 6'6", 6'7", 6'5". So and they play a 7'1". Obviously, Cooper Flagg, 6'9". You all know him. They are really good. They have a bunch of really good players. Duke probably has the most talented roster. Duke,
without a doubt.
Yeah, Duke has the most talented. So that's the team. But
are they as deep?
Yeah,
that's going to be the.
And I haven't watched them long enough to know that. But they got to beat an Alabama team that is going to fly up and down the court on them.
I said, I think Alabama beats them. I mean, now that's probably, I've seen way more of Alabama than I have seen of Duke.
Same.
But Alabama, if you're not used to what they do, and BYU clearly was not, and Duke's on a higher level. I mean, BYU's a 6th seed. Duke's arguably the best team remaining in the field. They were not the number 1 overall seed. That was Auburn. But they were the number 2 seed. And looking at it, if you're not prepared, and I don't know that you really can be unless you've played Alabama, because they play with such a style. It's just incredibly hard to deal with. Now, I would bet Shire is watching Alabama-Florida tape, because I do think his talent fits what Florida does. And Florida and Alabama could play 10 times, and Alabama's not winning, because the way Florida's constructed, they can handle the offensive shootout, and they will get the stops they need. But most teams can't handle that. And so, again, this is where, in that Elite Eight matchup, to settle the East region, I think you worry about, from a Duke standpoint, are they battle-tested enough? Because Alabama is Duke. I just don't think what did Duke have to go through? Right. Clemson couldn't even make it out of the first game. I mean, who else in the ACC would give you any kind of, like, what would Clemson have been in the SEC this year? They'd have won 6 games.
Right.
They'd have been 6-12 in the SEC. I'm sorry, but that's just what it would have been.
And they're the second best team in the SEC, so it'll be interesting to see. We will certainly follow it, and we'll follow it in a bit. We're going to talk with Pete Prisco in just a moment, talk NFL. After that, after headlines, I want to get into some of the 4 games tonight, see who we think is going to win those games. 4 fun games tonight, that's for sure. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Pete Prisco on the other side.
Because showing up is half the battle.
Although I am not opposed to engaging in a bit of fisticuffs should the occasion arise.
Bringing you Jacksonville Sports Radio every day. This is 1010XL.
When you're a little kid on the playground, they tell you don't hit back. Well, the courtroom isn't a playground. And if you've suffered an injury or death in your family, I'm here to tell you it's okay to hit back and fight to make them pay. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we understand all the pain and emotion that comes with being wrong. And we've dedicated our lives to making things right for people like you. So if you get hit back with Hastings Injury Law. Offices, Jacksonville.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. The showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs. We've got motorcycles. We've got scooters. We even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser share the huddle with Freddie T.
Bring it in.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins and Monahan Jewelers.
Fred Taylor, he's a candidate to go the distance.
On 1010XL.
Youth sports at the YMCA's focus on teamwork, discipline, and building confidence. Our experienced coaches can create a positive and supportive environment where your kids can grow, stay active, and develop a love for sports. Sports like basketball, volleyball, swimming, gymnastics, and even elite skills training. Join the fun and register. Give your kids the chance to be a part of something special. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise and towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by TopDressing.com. Former Jaguars defensive end and current heavyweight UFC fighter Austin Lane joined JP Shadrick and the Jaguars Happy Hour show yesterday afternoon. The two covered some of the free agent additions so far to this offseason, where Lane gave his pitch for who he thinks will be the most outstanding free agent addition to this roster.
I think when we talk about Jordan Lewis, of what he brings to this team, obviously it's the presence of being that nickel corner, but also it's leadership and also it's attitude. And that's what I think this defense needs more than anything going into this new season is more attitude and just more kind of having that dog in you. When you face adversity, you need those guys that have that dog in them to kind of come out and say, hey, we got to do better. And I think Jordan Lewis can do that.
It's 75 degrees at 5 o'clock. Time and temperature brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Time for all things Jaguars and NFL with Pete Prisco. The Prisco Report, presented by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Showtime.
On the Frangie Show.
All right, we appreciate our friends from Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. They always sponsor the Pete Prisco Report. Now they're an official PSA dealer, professional sports authenticator. So 2 days a week, you can go in there, bring your cards into Showtime, and have them submitted for PSA grading, which is really cool. You can do it on Wednesdays and Sundays, and then any other kind of thing you want. If you want a collectible, head to Showtime. You can call them to find out more, 904-527-8980. Pete Prisco Jones. Pete, how you doing, buddy?
You know, I wish I had a Frank Frangie collectible from the Times Union back in his
Oh, that'd be great. Wouldn't that be fantastic? That big hair, all that big hair.
All that. Remember when I actually had hair back in the day?
Yeah, we had all this big hair. We wore that hair high and proud and think back. That's exactly right. Pete, how's your bracket looking? I may go to San Antonio, just in case you're wondering. I think I'm heading there.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm going to. If they
Your
win,
team,
they win Saturday.
they're really good.
Aren't they really? I was saying this earlier to Hays. It's amazing in 3 years what a good team he's built. I mean, this isn't like some Cinderella story that they just caught lightning in a bottle. They may have the best team. It's amazing how fast they built that, Pete.
Well, they're big. They can run. They can shoot. They're athletic. I mean, they have good wing. I mean, it's almost like a perfect team. Yeah. I mean, now are they going to beat Duke? Yeah, they're better than Duke, but are they going to beat Duke? That's the question. But I'm really impressed with the way they are, the way they're playing. And you know what, though? Part of the charm of this tournament is gone.
I know.
It's gone forever. It will never be the same.
I agree.
Because of the NIL money. Yeah. I mean, how many of those guys on Florida started at other schools?
Well, that's just it. It's not just NIL money. It's the portal. I can tell you 4 of the 5 starters are at at least their second school, and one of the backups hand-locked. And so 4 of the 5 starters and 5 of the 8 rotation guys. Pretty amazing, isn't it? 5. So
yeah, and then you look at Tennessee, and they got the kid from UNF shooting jumpers all over the place. I think the charm is gone from it. It's going to be it's almost getting like football now, where it's going to be the elite of the elite, and it takes away the rest of the group. So yeah, and look, it makes for probably better. At least we thought it would. There was only really one good game last night, but it makes for better, Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games.
Right.
But I just think some of the charm is gone from the tournament.
Yeah, I think you're dead on. I think that's the consensus opinion too. You're right on. Let's talk NFL. Hey, tell me about Shedeur Sanders. Is he moving up? I'm like you, by the way. I think he's going to go real early, like you do. But tell me how that journey has happened. If people just seen him in pro days, if people just, either in private workouts, is a pro day, at the combine, or did people just look up and say, hey, wait a minute now, we got lousy quarterback play, maybe we have to take him? How did he go from 12th on so many mocks to second?
Well, I'm not so sure he is going to go second, but he might go third. But again, Frank, the need for quarterback is such a driving force for all these franchises that you probably sometimes take a swing that you might not necessarily have to take. But want to take, but you have to take it. And we've seen that play out before. There's been a lot of quarterbacks have been overdrafted, and you get in trouble when you do that. But you understand it, particularly if you're like the Giants. The Giants went out and signed Russell Wilson, but that doesn't mean they're out of the sweepstakes to go draft a quarterback. Maybe they just position themselves where if they don't get Shedeur Sanders, because if the Browns took him at 2, they wouldn't get him, then they're kind of ready to go next year without having that guy. But if he's there at 3, then I think you give him consideration. He's a really good player. He's a smart player. He doesn't have a great arm. That concerns people. He's not a great athlete, so that concerns him a little bit. He's taken a lot of sacks in his career. He got beat up at times because the offensive line was bad, but then he took a lot of sacks when he didn't need to really do it. So I think there's a lot of differing opinions on him. I think he's going to be a solid starting quarterback. I don't know if he'll ever be great. But, again, if you're the Giants in that situation, you might want to take a swing on the guy.
Hey, Pete, do you think Travis Hunter might be there at 5 for the Jaguars?
I think wishful thinking on their part that he would be. I'm not so sure he will be. It just depends on the quarterbacks. Again, we go back. If Cam Ward goes 1, the Browns took Carter at 2, and then the Giants took Sanders, what do the Patriots do? Do the Patriots grab a guy who could be a real weapon for their young quarterback, or they grab an offensive lineman who can be a guy that can step in and play and protect their young quarterback? I think Travis Hunter is special. I think he is special at both positions. I think he could be a great wide receiver. I think he could be a great cornerback. I wouldn't let him get past me if I were New England, but you can understand where maybe there's a draw to a big guy because they've had so many problems on that offensive line.
Pete, how high does Jackson Dart climb? I know you're not a big fan, but I really like him. But I start seeing this is about the time of year where quarterbacks start rising. How high does he go in your mind?
He could go, you hear the Saints like him a little bit, although I've heard from people that they might wait and take a guy like Quinn Ewers in the next round. But, 9, 10, 11, and then all the way back to, out of the first round. I think there's differing opinions on him because of the offense he played in. He's a tough kid. He's an athletic kid. Got a good arm. Made some, gets off his reads at times and turns good plays into bad plays, just like a lot of them do. But there is intrigue there. Don't get me wrong. I think there's intrigue there. And again, if you're the Steelers at 21, what the hell are you doing? You should look. If you like Jackson Dart, take him. And they'll say, well, they overdrafted Kenny Pickett. It didn't work out. That doesn't mean it won't work out this time. You got to keep taking shots at the quarterback position so you can. And there are other guys in this draft. I mentioned Ewers. McCord from Syracuse. You got to take swings if you don't have a quarterback to try and hit one because you might hit one.
Do you feel like the Jaguars are pretty much in a position at 5 that it will be a good night regardless? Like if Hunter isn't there, are you at a point where, well, if they take Mason Graham, that's a great night, or if they're able to trade back maybe with New Orleans at 9 and get a couple extra picks, that's a good night as well?
I think that if you're stuck there at 5 and Hunter and Carter are gone, I think you got to try and trade back out of there. I would. Look, I like Mason Graham. I've gone back and watched a lot of his tape. He's on the ground a lot, for one. That's concerning. And, he's not a great interior pass rusher. He's good at it, but he's not great at it. And I think if you take that guy in that spot, you want him to be dominant. So I think if you're in that scenario, you would probably look to trade back if you could, and maybe even trade back a couple times and get more picks because, they're in a situation where they could do that. I think this draft, if you go, from 17, 18 to 70, 60, something like 65, you're going to get a lot of the same type of athletic ability and talent in that grouping. So why not move back and get extra picks and get a bunch of those guys, and maybe you hit on 2 or 3 of them, and you really upgraded your roster. So I think, if they're stuck there, that's the thing. Let's just say they're stuck there. then what do you do? Do you take Graham? Do you take the wide receiver from Arizona? Do you take the running back? Do you trade? Is somebody going to want to go up and get a quarter? Are they worried about Dart? Do you want to go get Dart? Do you want to go get the running back? I mean, there's going to be options for him. So, but I think the worst case scenario for him is if they're forced to pick there and Carter and Travis Hunter are off the board.
I think they do take Graham if they're there. I don't even think they trade back. I think he may not be great, but I mean I think there's enough of a need there in my mind that I think they take him if they're there. Pete, we'll see. We'll see if they.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him, but I wanted to love him and I didn't love him.
Yeah, no,
I like him, and the more I watched him, I wanted to love him and I didn't love him. Great hands, good instincts, but he's on the ground a lot again, and he played next to two guys that are really good. Grant, the defensive tackle, and Stewart, the pass rusher. I mean, so there's a little bit of concern there when you watch him.
Pete, what Aaron Rodgers going to do? Is he going to retire now? Is that the latest the latest scuttlebutt that he's not going to play at all?
Yeah, you know what? I think there's some talk now that he might not play. Again, I think if you're a team out there now and you're interested in Aaron Rodgers, particularly if you're the Steelers, don't you almost have to wait to see what the draft does? I mean, he went there supposedly on his own. And, and they had the meet and greet, and there's no, it's going to be a 1 year, 2 year thing at best. So what's your rush? What are his other options? He doesn't have any other options. I think it's the Steelers or bust. And if it doesn't go there, I think he does retire.
Are you starting to kind of move towards maybe there is more value in taking a running back in the first round, or are you still very much against a team investing in, because we're seeing like not just Genty, but you're starting to see a lot of buzz for the North Carolina kid, Omarion Hampton, and things like that. Is it cycling back to where now that makes sense, or should teams still kind of stay away from that?
I think those two backs are really good. I think when you look, Genty, and I think he's Maurice Jones-Drew, and that kind of runner. He might not have Maurice's speed. He won't run a 40. That tells you he doesn't have a speed. But you look at the tape, and he doesn't get caught from behind. It's like the old Jerry Rice thing. I said, I told Jerry Rice that once. I said, Jerry, you never been caught from me. I asked him. I said, you didn't really time that well coming out of school. And he goes, did anybody ever catch me from behind? No. Well, it's the same thing with Genty. But he doesn't. Why doesn't he run the 40? That's a concern to me. But I think he is truly nobody gets good shots on him. He pops out of holes. He's a good runner. But I go back to my old theory on it. There's 12, 15 of them in this draft. There's a kid at Virginia Tech by the name of Tootin who's, built similarly to Genty. He's got home run speed. He busts off a lot of runs. He's tough. I mean, he fumbled a couple times, so that's a concern. But you can get that guy in the second or third round, and I think you're going to have just the same type of success. But again, if they don't hit, or if they do hit, let's say Genty's good for 4 or 5 years, the value of that position just isn't there. So in year 6, if you draft a tackle in that position, you draft an all-world tackle, he's going to be still playing for you in year 8, 9, and 10 probably. The back might not be, probably won't be. And so I think that's the concern with the running back.
Pete, final thing. Give me 3 or 4 positions you're absolutely convinced the Jags are going to draft. They got 10 picks as of today. That could change, obviously, as you wheel and deal throughout the draft. But give me what you're most confident. It doesn't have to be first or second round, but you're most confident the positions they're going to address in that draft.
Offensive line, they'll get one more, maybe 2. Yeah. I think defensive line, defensive tackle, maybe an edge rusher. You need a rotational edge rusher in there, so you got to get a young edge rusher. Receiver, and then corner. I think those are the positions you're going to address.
I do too.
I think those are the most important ones, and I think they need to address them, and some of those they need to address a couple times.
Pete Prisco checking in from CBSSports.com. Pete, great work, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Pete's report is always brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. Again, they're now an official PSA dealer, a professional sports authenticator. 2 days a week, you'll be able to bring your cards into Showtime and have them submitted for PSA grading. You can do it on Wednesday from 1 to 6, Sunday from noon until 5, and you can always call for more details. That's 904-527-8980. And oh, by the way, they've got the best collectibles around. If it doesn't matter who you root for, they've got your stuff in there. We'll take a break. Hays has headlines on the other side.
Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
The Gators elevate to the Elite Eight. Florida, Texas Tech. Saturday at 6 on 1010 AM.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyric.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
When it's time for new tires, you can count on Big Chief Tire for quality and value. Frank Frangie here. Their expert team will help you quickly find the right fit, ensuring a safe, comfortable ride. With quality options, fair prices, and quick installation, you'll be back on the road in no time. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 today to schedule your appointment and roll into 2025 with great confidence. Big Chief Tire keeps Jack rolling.
This is Hays Carlyon for Harold and Harold. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harold and Harold. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client. When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at goosehead.com.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
When no names become household names. Listen for March moments all month long on 1010XL. Driven by Garber Auto Mall. We can wiggle it.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, every day feels like the weekend. Fresh, never frozen chicken wings, tossed in over 30 bold flavors, paired with ice-cold beer and handcrafted cocktails, all in a laid-back, beachy atmosphere. And with every game on the big screens, it's the ultimate escape, and you're home for sports, too. Great food, cold drinks, and all the games. That's Hurricane Grill and Wings. Escape the ordinary and find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees. often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166171, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Spring and summer are coming. Will your pool deck be ready? Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville has you covered. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings come in a variety of colors, adding safety, durability, and style to your outdoor spaces. Plus, they offer slip-resistant solutions for inside your home, too. Long-lasting, affordable, and built to protect your family. Don't wait. Call today for a free quote. 904-466-1839. And follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round.
It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell and Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank Frangie is here. We've got RJ Saunders joining us today as JJ LaSelva gets ready for a wild wedding weekend, a buddy's wedding. JJ is married. Thank you to our friends at Harold and Harold.
He's not doing that again.
Yes, 251-1111. Holden and I were texting a bunch. He was fired up for that big Gators win last night, and so here we go. We got lots to get to. We're going to start with those Gators. Florida moves 1 win away from the Final Four with an 87-71 win over Maryland. 6 Gators scored in double figures as the team improved to 33-4 and advanced to the 10th Elite Eight in program history. UF dominated bench scoring 29-3 and out-rebounded the Terrapins 42-20.
Yeah, Florida's really good. That wasn't even their A game. They turned it over way too much in the first half. They were a little bit casual. Walter Clayton Jr. really never had to get to another gear, and they won easily. They've got a really good team, and that's no knock on Maryland, but Maryland is not a particularly deep team. You knew that would rear its head. I think that was the one thing that everybody talked about when they discussed the game, is would their lack of depth ultimately affect them negatively, and at the end of the day, it did. So a fantastic win for Florida. They're in the Elite Eight for the 10th time in school history.
Absolutely. Todd Golden will meet with reporters today in San Francisco. We are awaiting word of an update on Alex Condon, the injury. He rolled his ankle again. It was the same one he sprained earlier in the year that forced him to miss a couple of weeks of action. He was able to return last night, played 14 minutes, and had 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Had a really heads-up play to beat the shot clock at a very critical moment of the game. So, yeah, I mean, Condon looked good when he came back. But, Frank, what's your concern level with Condon's availability and his effectiveness for Saturday?
I think he's going to play. I think he's going to start. And he may not be quite as bouncy as he is sometimes, but he'll be close. It was clear last night when he came back in that he was ready to play. It wasn't the same. He wasn't quite as his normal self. But the thing, remember now, he's not a scorer. He's not a shooter. He's a block shots, rebound, phenomenal rebounder. Make plays around the basket. I mean, remember, he made that reverse layup with the left hand. That was after he came back in.
And the block late in the game.
Right. And so
he was up there.
Yeah, I think Alex Condon's going to be fine. I think he's going to start the game. I think he's going to be back to normal.
The top-seeded Gators will face third-seeded Texas Tech for the West Region at 6:07 p.m. Saturday night. Texas Tech rallied back from 16 points to defeat Arkansas 85-83 in overtime. It was the second biggest comeback in Sweet 16 history. Arkansas led 61-45 with just over 10 minutes to play. The Gators are a 6.5-point favorite against the Red Raiders. Frank, what's your concern level for this matchup?
I think Florida's going to win with some ease. I say with some ease. They're all good teams left now, Hayes. But I think they're going to – let me say it exactly the way I said it yesterday about the Maryland game. I think they're going to win comfortably enough that I don't think it's coming down to the closing minutes. I think they will have the game put away in the last 4, 5, 6 minutes. I'm not saying they're going to put 90 to 60 on them, but I think it's going to be 88. Well, I said 83-71, and it turned out to be 87-71. I think this one is 88. A 72, same kind of game.
Yeah, it's not often you have a walk-on scoring in the Sweet 16.
That's right.
But
I didn't count on that.
That's what Florida had last night.
But I think it's the same game. I think they'll wear them down. They're bigger. They're longer. They're deeper. Both teams have three good starting guards. I just think these Gators are a tough matchup for a lot of teams.
There was great action in the East region last night as well. Alabama buries an NCAA tourney record 25 three-pointers en route to a 113-88 victory over BYU. You cannot give the Crimson Tide those three looks.
Yeah, I will tell you, tomorrow night, what a game that'll be. Duke and Alabama. And by the way, I think Florida caught a break. If you're old like me and you don't like to go to bed, I was convinced Florida would be in the 8:49 game because they're on the West Coast. But because Duke-Alabama is a way better matchup, marquee matchup, that's the 8:49 game. The Gators play at 6:09 tomorrow. So they play the Gators can be the first team to make it to the Final Four. They play the early game.
And if they win, it's great because it gets you home. You'll get home around 2 a.m., I would think, from San Francisco, playing at 6. Whereas if you had been in the night game, that's a red eye, and you're landing probably at dawn the next day. So I think that makes a difference for Florida if they're able to win as they get prepared for the Final Four. Well, you'd mentioned Duke. It was a little dicey, but the Blue Devils, the top-seeded Blue Devils, able to hold off fourth-seeded Arizona 100-93. The Blue Devils against Alabama are a 7.5-point favorite. I would take Alabama in 7.5 points all day long.
That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points for an Alabama team that can really score. The question I have is, can Duke do to Alabama what Florida regularly does to Alabama? That's why the 7.5 would scare me. I think Duke is like Florida, and Florida plays fast like Duke does, but Florida's longer and tougher than Alabama and plays fast. I think Duke could be too. So what would give me pause on that bet, Hayes, is I think Duke is similar to Florida, and Florida has rolled Alabama.
Without a doubt, the Sweet 16 wraps up tonight with a great quartet of games. The headliner for me, Kentucky versus Tennessee. What do you expect that we'll see in this game?
I think it's going to be 150-140. I think, you know what, Hayes? I think it's a great contrast of styles. Kentucky loves to go up and down the floor. I've probably changed my mind. I told our friend Zach Ricketts I thought Kentucky's going to beat him for the third time. I told you that earlier in the show. The more I think about it, I get this hunch that Tennessee's toughness will prevail in the game. So I'm going to pick Tennessee to win the game. But it's a contrast of styles, man. If Kentucky can turn it into a track meet, they win the game 95-89. If Tennessee can keep it play it in a phone booth, they win the game 75-68. That's the question. Can Kentucky can Kentucky get them running up and down the floor? Going to be a fantastic game. Can't wait to watch it.
Houston, the number 1 seed in the Midwest, certainly does not have an easy assignment tonight with the 4th-seeded Purdue Boilermakers. Does that one get dicey for the Cougars?
I don't think so. I think Houston wins easy in that game. I think that's a double-digit win that has lost its mystery. 8 to 10 minutes left.
Let's get it to the South. Top-seeded Auburn will face Michigan, the 5 seed. Can Bruce Pearl roll the Wolverines?
I think Auburn's going to win, but I don't think that one's easy. Michigan's physical. Dusty May's a very good coach. He's been there. He's been to the Final Four more recently than Bruce Pearl, or as recently. Yes, I think that's a heck of a game. I think that's one of the best games going. I think that goes. I think that game, if I can, starts at 9:39. I hope I can stay awake, but I think that's going to be a fun watch. I think Auburn's going to beat them, but I think it's that could be a last 2 or 3 minute game.
And another fantastic coaching matchup. We have Chris Beard going against Tom Izzo. Ole Miss against Michigan State. Can the Rebels do it?
They hang around. I think they hang around. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think they hang around in the game. And that's a real test of the Big Ten SEC, because it's the Big Ten's best team, or one of them, against the middle of the pack SEC team. So if the Big Ten beats them, okay, they're supposed to. If Ole Miss wins that, that's the 7th or 8th best team in the SEC beating the best team in the Big Ten.
Without a doubt, we have really enjoyed talking March Madness, but let's do a flashback here, RJ, because on this date, back in 1992, this happened.
past the half court and call a quick timeout so they can get in better shooting range.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes!
Wow.
Known simply as The Shot, Christian Leitner stuns Kentucky with a turnaround jumper off a long inbounds pass from Grant Hill to lead Duke to a 104-103 overtime win in the East Regional Final. Vern Lundquist and Lynn Elmore on the call that night at Philadelphia Spectrum. Duke would go on to repeat as national champions.
I've told this story many times. It's one of those games you remember where you are. I was at Steve Spurrier's house. He had the media boys over and his assistant coaches, media boys and our wives, and the assistant coaches over to that game. My wife and I had been married about a year, by the way. She said, "We're going to Steve Spurrier's house. That's pretty cool." And I remember being in his big den. We had that big screen TV, and I remember watching it at Spurrier's house. And by the way, all his assistant coaches were from Duke.
Right.
Carl Franks, Jim Collins, Bob Sanders. Those guys are all coached, and a lot of them, like Carl Franks, had played at Duke. Those guys were Dukies, man, and they thought it was about to end. The dream was over, and then Leitner hit the shot. So I remember it very well. By the way, I told Coach. I don't know if you remember, Coach K came on me last year. He was speaking here. And I had an interview with Coach K, which was really pretty cool. And I told him that story. I said, where does that shot rank? He said, obviously there's been a lot of good ones. That's probably first. And I said, Coach, let me tell you where I was. I said I was at Steve Spurrier's house in Gainesville, covering the Gators, and he invited the media guys over. And he went into this great story. He said, first of all, that's a great story. I'm glad you're at Steve's house. He said, Steve and I got to be really good friends when he was up here. He said, but I will tell you this. We played pickup basketball once a week. And he said, he might have liked the pass in football, not in basketball.
That's awesome.
It was great. I was crying. He said, I'm not kidding you. He said, he passed a lot in football, not in basketball.
That's great. Let's get into college football. Big news today out of Colorado. The Buffaloes extend Coach Deion Sanders with a massive 5-year, $54 million contract, making him one of the nation's top 10 paid coaches.
Yeah, and I think he's done a phenomenal job. I told you this earlier, Hays. I'll be interested to see what he does now. Next year will be the first team he's coached, I think, as a college coach without Shedeur Sanders as his quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think both years at Jackson State and both years at Colorado, Shedeur was his quarterback. So this will be the first year he's been a college head coach without an NFL first-round quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see.
Does it make you think that because of the money that he's probably going to stay at Colorado, or do you think Deion Sanders could be swayed to a more of a blue-chip college program?
Well, obviously the conversation will be about Florida State. Is if Mike Norvell doesn't make it, he's an alumnus. We would be interested. So I don't see him. First of all, I think the sky's the limit for the guy. He's a good coach. He's proven he can do it. So there's no more question about is he too much flash and not enough substance. He's not. He's a good coach. But I don't know that I see Texas, LSU, Penn State hiring him. Not yet. He hasn't done it enough yet. So I don't know that I see that. But Florida State, because he's an alumnus, I think could be in play.
Former Tennessee coach Jeremy Pruitt is suing the NCAA for $100 million, claiming he was made a sacrificial lamb in his firing. The Vols fired Pruitt in 2021.
Yeah, that is a big deal, man, because, here's my read on that. He looked up and can't get a job. He can't get a job.
He's got a long 6-year show cause or something?
So the show cause is forever. Can't get a job, needs the money. And I think he went to his attorneys and said, listen, I'm not going to be able to coach again. Let's win this one.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's get to Major League Baseball. Frank, opening day thoughts. Anything stand out to you from the first day of action?
Nah, it's too early.
I know it was kind of a tough day for your guys.
Yeah, the Pirates lost. Shockingly, the Pirates lost. Here's what I do think, though. I don't like the way they did it. Why would you play all your games, opening day, all your games, on a day when there's so much good basketball going on, and it's the middle of the week? They couldn't find a Sunday. They couldn't have manipulated to where last Sunday night or Monday, or let's not Sunday night because there's still basketball. Then Monday when there's nothing going on. You couldn't play a game Monday, then everybody else plays Tuesday, and then just have more open dates. So I didn't like the way they started it.
They've got a bad commissioner.
Yeah.
Manfred is just not a good.
Well, that's a great
commissioner.
point because he could have overrode that. But what if they'd have played on Monday when nobody was playing, and have the Reds and the Orioles, two teams that typically open the season, play then, and then have everybody play Tuesday when, oh, by the way, nobody's playing. It surprised me.
Let's get to the PGA Tour. The Houston Open is going on. Scotty Scheffler heated up today with a sterling 8 under 62 to vault into a one-shot lead at 11 under. He is in the clubhouse. 8 birdies in the bogey-free round for the world's #1 player. They are in a lightning delay, or at least they were. Rory McIlroy is 1 under through 7, and the cut looks like it's going to be at 2 under, so whenever play does resume, a little bit of work for Rory McIlroy to make it to the weekend, but Scotty Scheffler looks like he's getting into Masters form.
Yeah, you knew at some point that Scheffler engine was going to start revving, didn't you? It was going to happen. He's too good a player to go from being the best player in the world to just being another good player. And it's coming, so I'm not surprised at all.
We're going to take full advantage of R.J. Saunders being with us today because we do not get to the NBA very often in headlines. But R.J., the floor is yours, whether you want to talk Magic, Lakers, whatever. What stands out to you about the NBA season where we are right now?
Well, there were going to be a couple of things that I was going to talk about, especially with a guy such as Frank Frangie and yourself, Hays Carlyon. You remember those Pistons teams when they were great, but they've had a little bit of a down trot, over the course of many seasons. But now you look up and this team is a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. Things do seem to be turning around for them. Also, the Houston Rockets, many projected them to be a 48-win team this season. They've won their 48th game last night with 8 games to go, so they've really overachieved this season. However, the story that has been really just circulating around the NBA and is making a lot of people scratch their heads was the firing of Taylor Jenkins. I mean, that was the guy that's been known as one of the better head coaches in the NBA. You just got Ja Morant back, your superstar, but now you fire his head coach and 2 well-respected assistant coaches in Noah LaRoche as well as Patrick St. Andrew. So it does make you wonder, are the Memphis Grizzlies deciding that they're going to not only blow up the coaching staff as they have already, but what does this mean for the future of one Ja Morant? And do the Grizzlies brass believe that they can build a team around Ja? Remember, this was a Memphis Grizzlies team that was a top 2 seed in the West just a few years ago before Ja Morant's suspension, and they were a 2 seed at one point this season. Currently the 5 seed. If the playoffs started today, they would be facing the Lakers. So a lot of teams, those 3 in particular, the Rockets, the Pistons, and the Grizzlies, I was going to say, buy stock on all 3 of them, but it seems like 2 right now you'll want to buy stock on. The third one, you may have to wait just a couple of more weeks just to see what Memphis is deciding to do or what's going on in that brain when it comes to the brain trust of the Memphis Grizzlies ball club.
2 things. Number 1, you can hear all that on Open Gym on Sundays. RJ does a terrific job. Number 2, the key to the Pistons resurgence? Isaiah.
Yes.
I think he's gotten loose.
Yeah.
Because you double him, and then what he does? Throws it to Vinnie Johnson.
Absolutely.
Rick Mahorn. It's actually Rick Mahorn. He's a part of the broadcasting staff, Frank.
So there's that, too.
That was quite a ball club. Those were fun days, no doubt about it.
How many can you name on the team?
Lambeer, Mahorn, Dumars, Isaiah, Sally. Sally was on that team, right?
Vinny. Vinny.
Vinny.
Yeah. And Rodman. Yeah,
and Rodman.
Right.
Yep.
And who could forget Hayes' favorite, Scott Hastings?
Was he on
Absolutely.
that team? I did not know who was on that team. I didn't remember him.
Great stuff, RJ. We appreciate that. We will get you guys out on our musical note of the day because this week, back in 1984, Duran Duran came to town, played at the Jacksonville Coliseum. I remember it being a huge deal. All my older cousins were beyond so excited to go see Duran Duran. Perhaps no band took advantage of the MTV music video phenomenon in the early 80s like Duran Duran. They had 21 songs crack the top 40 on the Billboard Hot 100. Duran Duran was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2022. This is Rio.
Probably my favorite music video ever. This is probably my favorite music video of all. And you're way more better video guy than me.
It's a great video.
I love this video. I told you I couldn't have gone to that concert because back then when you're mid-20s single guy hanging out with your buddies, you can't say you like Duran Duran. You have to be private. Now, all these years later, I really like Duran Duran.
Yeah.
And now I can say it. But I couldn't go to the concert. Well done, as always.
Thank you.
Back throughout the program right after this.
When she
Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been on top of the Western Conference most of this season, are the betting favorite to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy and win the NBA title. The Thunder are plus 175, while the Boston Celtics, who are second in the Eastern Conference, are plus 200 to repeat as champions. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who are on top of the East, are plus 525 to win the championship, while the Denver Nuggets are plus 1,500. The Lakers have been playing without LeBron James out with the groin injury. He's expected to come back prior to the postseason. They're plus 1,500 to win the title. Golden State at plus 1,600, and the Knicks are plus 3,000. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Trying to figure pricing at most AC companies is like listening to an auctioneer.
Who wants an AC tune-up? Do I hear $3.99? How about $2.99? No, let's drop it. $79? Do we have a deal? Going once, going twice? Sold!
Not at Duck Duck Air Conditioning. We make it easy. We're offering a free AC inspection. No gimmicks, no fine print, just a completely free checkup from our highly trained techs to make sure your AC is ready for summer. Call 904-862-6769 now to schedule. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, because free is better than bidding. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Living on Amelia Island? Having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mocama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect Pilsners and Lagers, matching memories and some Mocama magic is what it's all about. Mocama Beer Company in Fernandina Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
This is Mike Lynch, PGA golf professional. Take it from me, if you're dealing with an orthopedic issue, talk to the doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where you're treated like a pro.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros. Thanks to all of you who have allowed us to be part of your recovery. Call us at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists if you ever have a need.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Need a fast casual option that's healthy, fresh, and delicious? Choose the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Gyros, salads, hummus, and more made completely fresh right as you order. Off 210 and St. John's Parkway. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
During the NFL offseason, 1010XL keeps the information engine turning. There we go. More. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive on Richard Street. Family run since 1954.
It's truck season again at Nimnick Chevrolet. This month, you can save up to $12,000 off a new Silverado or get financing rates as low as 2.9%. Now, unlike most dealerships, Nimnick Chevrolet has the largest inventory on the ground, ready for you to explore. And with their extensive selection, you're sure to find your perfect truck at Nimnick. Now available now, the all-new Silverado EV. Designed to go the distance, the Silverado EV boasts 440 miles of range, more standard range than any competitor. Ask about low-rate financing and $7,500 instant cash savings on EVs. And remember, Nimnick will always give you top dollar for your trade, and for a limited time, up to an additional $3,000 in trade assistance. Who's got the best Silverados? Nobody but Nimnick. Head to Nimnick today. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
I'm Chris Campione. Auto accidents can leave you feeling lost and overwhelmed. But at Campione Law, we're here to guide you with a personal touch through every step of the process. We don't get paid unless you get paid. CampioneLaw.com.
Count on Campione Law.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the Beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performancepainting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
The Golf Club of Southampton has plenty going on, from a great round to a round with your buds, soaking up some football and great grub. Every Saturday and Sunday at Southampton, enjoy their game day special. Wings tossed in your favorite sauce and a cold pitcher of beer. Membership opportunities to take advantage of, too. Join Southampton with a paid initiation, and you'll get a $500 gift card. Perfect for golf, pro shop purchases, or the clubhouse. Check it out. It's all happening at the Golf Club of Southampton.
Here's good advice from your friends here at 1010XL. High Flying Jacko here, and the next time you need to send a gift for a birthday, anniversary, wedding, or just for the fun of it, call on the experts at Kuhn Flowers. For over 75 years, Kuhn Flowers does it right.
Pick it here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, where we've been on the course of the show today, talked a little bit of that NCAA tournament. The Gators move on with a double-digit win over Maryland. They now move on to the Elite Eight, where they will play Texas Tech, which overcame a 16-point deficit, including 13 in the last 4 minutes, 6 in the last minute and a half, to win the game and to beat Arkansas. So Florida, Texas Tech get together. We talked about that today. We talked about tonight's games a little bit as well. Some really good ones coming up tonight. They're going to be kind of fun to watch. Pete Prisco stopped by to talk a little NFL as well. So we covered a little hoop and a little bit of NFL talk as well. That's where we've been, of course, to the program today. All right. Tonight, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Ole Miss, Michigan State. Who do you like?
I like Michigan State, but close.
Kentucky, Tennessee.
I like Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm going to change my mind. I think Tennessee's going to win that game, but we'll see. Michigan, Auburn.
I'm going to go.
I used to say Auburn.
I'll say Auburn. And I think
you're not sure.
I'm not sure, but it'll probably be Auburn by like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think same here, and I think Houston comfortably. You don't?
No, because I think Purdue's got a point guard that can somewhat attack the elite Houston defense. So I'll say, and Purdue's a prideful program. Right. They're so I would. They're used to being in big NCAA games. So I'll say Houston. But very close, like Houston by 2.
Okay, and for the 2 games that are scheduled tomorrow night, Florida and Texas Tech at 6:09.
Yes, I like Florida. I'll say Florida 86, Texas Tech 73.
Yeah, I said the same game, 88, 72, something like that. So 80-something to 70-something. I like them too. And what about the nightcap? You like the Crimson Tide?
I like the Crimson Tide.
I'm going to take them too.
Yeah, are you? Yeah, I like Alabama. I'll say Alabama 94, Duke 93.
Yeah, I'm going to take Alabama over Duke too. I think they're going. I picked them over bracket. I can't change now. I picked them to move on to the bracket.
Yeah, I picked Duke in my bracket. I just so I'm switching, but I just think that I just don't think Duke's going to be ready for how Alabama plays.
How fast they play.
And look, Alabama just hit 25 threes in that building.
Right.
So again, you talk about confidence. The confidence the Crimson Tide must have offensively, I think it's going to be enough to pull the upset.
All right. I want to remind you, this is my last show for at least 5 days.
How about that? And hopefully more.
And hopefully one more. I will be on vacation. I know you and Hacker will be holding it down next week. I appreciate you and Hack being having that under control. I'm excited about that. And I'll be gone all next week. I might be back in the following Monday. I am going to San Antonio if the Gators win Saturday for the game. Going with some friends, hanging out. Not in a working capacity. Got a lot of friends going, as a matter of fact. So I am going to San Antonio if they get to the Final Four. The way our tickets set up is you buy tickets for Saturday, and if you win, you get tickets for Monday, and you don't have to. They got them through the Gators. You don't pay for them unless you're in the game. So if I'm flying Fridays to Hope, if they win Saturday, the plan will be to go to the game on Saturday. If they win, stick around Sunday, have a little fun. Go to the game Monday, come back Tuesday morning. If they lose Saturday, I'll be back on Sunday. So hopefully, and you, by the way, Hays, you're on vacation that week, but you're kind enough to come. Seriously, you're kind enough to come in on Monday.
I hope nothing more than I'm working that Monday.
So I appreciate you doing that. Let's say hello to Rick Ballou.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Trying to get to a Final Four, Ballou.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been to some Final Fours, right?
I have.
Yeah.
I went, first one was when the Gators played in 2000.
Okay.
It was I'd only been in Chicago for about 3 months.
All right. Yeah.
And they lost to Michigan State.
Yep.
It was also Wisconsin and UNC in that Final Four.
Yeah, Florida beat UNC
and
then lost to Michigan State in the title game. I was there.
I had Pat Kennedy on last night, and he was at DePaul, and we did from a restaurant right across the street. It was Mike DeCourcy, our senior college basketball writer, and Pat Kennedy.
What a good show that would have been.
Pat Kennedy, you name it, and they came and sat down.
I'll
Coach
bet.
K,
I'll
Jerry Tarkanian, Dean Smith, Rick Pitino, John Calipari, Jim Boeheim, Tom Izzo,
about that
Bob
show?
Huggins. I mean, you name it, they came. Pat was friends with them all.
everybody. Yeah. Oh, what a great story.
Well, it was really cool.
That is cool
because Mike DeCourcy is so thorough. I mean, Mike DeCourcy is one of those guys who knows all the assistant coaches and knows the bench. And I'm coming from doing a show here in Jacksonville where I knew a little bit about the Gators and the Knowles, and all of a sudden, I'm talking about Winthrop against Michigan, whether or not Winthrop can put together a full court press.
I get it.
But yeah, it was great. But no, I've been to a few Final Fours, and I've never been to one in San Antonio, though. I hear that's great.
I've never been to San Antonio.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward. So we'll see. I got one more win to go, and then we'll get on the road. So there's that. What's coming up tonight?
We got all that tonight. A lot of hoops here tonight on the program, as well a football idea that I'm going to throw out to our listeners. Also, he's on fire. He got the Philly Godfather about 100 days ago. Picked the Gators to win the national championship. He got them at 19-1 odds.
How about that?
Okay.
Wow.
$100 brings back $1,900. My guess is that the Philly Godfather has a little bit more than $100.
Yeah, I would guess that too.
On the Florida Gators.
He's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, 19-1 odds. I mean, right now I think you'd get 5 or 6-1.
Yeah, he got
type of odds. But he got it about 100 days ago. So he's coming up in 30 minutes.
Sounds good. Rick Ballou, he goes into the night. That happens right now. All right, that'll do it for me for a week or so. Hays and Hacker, hold it down. I know you will. I'm looking forward to listening. I will be in Tampa watching 3 Pirates-Rays games.
Nice.
Spending time with family, playing a little golf, and all kind of fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Have a blast.
I appreciate it. We will check with you. You and I'll be texting also, Roy, but I'll officially check back with you in hopefully a week and change.
Yeah.
That's what we hope for. Folks, that's our program. We appreciate it. RJ, nice job filling in. We appreciate it. For the absent JJ, for RJ, for Hays Carlyon, I'm Frank Frangie. So long.